the quiet between waves. The day unfolded like a slow melody, the kind that doesn't rush, only drifts, carried by the wind and the rhythm of the sea. Amira and Lena walked barefoot along the water's edge, their footprints dissolving behind them as waves reached forward, then pulled away again. The air was warm, threaded with salt and sunlight. The sky stretched wide above them, endless and blue, with clouds drifting lazily like quiet thoughts. Lena's laughter was the first sound to break through the hush. "You walk too fast," she said, her voice teasing. Amira turned, the hem of her white dress brushing against her legs, hair glinting with strands of light. "Or maybe you walk too slowly," she replied, smiling. They met in the middle, halfway between the sea and the sand, and for a long moment, neither spoke. They just stood there, faces close, breathing in the same rhythm the ocean seemed to follow. A wave came in stronger than the last, curling around their ankles. The cold rush of it made Lena gasp, and Amira laughed softly. "See, the sea agrees with me." Lena shook her head, water droplets falling from her hair like scattered gems. "The sea's on your side only because you flatter it, maybe," Amira said. "But I think it likes you better." Lena's smile faded into something gentler. Her gaze drifted out to the horizon, where the line between sea and sky blurred into pale silver. "It's strange," she whispered. "The ocean feels alive, like it's listening." "It is," Amira replied, her tone softer now. "It always listens. It keeps the things we can't say." They fell silent again, the waves speaking in their place. Around them, the beach stretched in both directions, vast, open, private. The only witnesses were the sky and the restless water. Amira reached down and picked up a small shell, turning it between her fingers. "My grandmother used to say that seashells remember voices," she said quietly. "That if you hold one close enough, it whispers back the words that were once lost to the wind." Lena looked at her, intrigued. "Do you believe that?" Amira smiled faintly. "I don't know, but I'd like to." Lena took the shell from her and held it to her ear. The sound was faint, a distant hum, soft and rhythmic, like a pulse beneath the surface. "Maybe it's whispering now," she said. Amira leaned closer. "What does it say?" Lena met her gaze, the corners of her lips curving into something quiet, secretive. "It says, stay." For a moment, Amira forgot how to breathe. There was no music, no noise, just that one word suspended between them, carried by the hush of the tide. She reached out, brushing a wet strand of hair from Lena's cheek. Her touch was gentle, deliberate, reverent. "Then I'll stay," she whispered. The world seemed to fade around them, the sky, the waves, even the wind, until there was only the sound of their hearts and the ocean breathing in sync. Time lost meaning. The day turned golden, then softer, then pale again as evening began its slow descent. They built a small fire on the shore as the light faded. The flames danced between them, reflecting in their eyes like tiny suns. Around them, the world darkened, yet it felt warmer than before, cocooned in the orange glow, safe from everything else. Lena drew her knees to her chest, watching the fire crackle. "Do you ever think love can be quiet?" she asked. Amira tilted her head. "It depends what kind of quiet you mean. The kind that doesn't need to be spoken," Lena said. "That just exists, like the sea at night." Amira smiled softly. "Then yes, I think that's the only kind that lasts." A long silence followed, but it wasn't empty. It was full of the things they couldn't say aloud. The warmth, the gratitude, the small ache of realizing that this, right here, was everything they had been searching for without even knowing it. The stars appeared one by one, scattering across the dark. The ocean shimmered beneath them, mirroring every spark. Amira leaned back, resting her hands behind her on the sand. "You ever notice how the stars and waves look the same from far away?" she asked. Lena followed her gaze upward, like they're reflections of each other. "Exactly," Amira said. "Maybe the sea is just the sky's memory." Lena turned toward her, her face lit softly by the fire. "And what are we?" Amira smiled faintly, eyes glimmering. "Maybe we're what the sea remembers, The wind carried the sound of her words out over the water, where they dissolved into the night, but the meaning lingered, deep and real, in the quiet between waves. Hours passed unnoticed. The fire dimmed, replaced by moonlight silvering the shore. They lay side by side, the ocean whispering lullabies around them. No promises were spoken, no plans were made, and yet, beneath the soft hum of the world, something eternal had been written, not in words, but in touch, in silence, in the rhythm of two hearts that had finally found the same tide. The night was endless. The sea was breathing, and between each quiet wave, love kept its own kind of time. Quiet, the waves were softer that night. Each one rolled toward the shore like a heartbeat, slow, calm, and sure of its rhythm. The moon floated high above them, painting silver paths across the water. Amira and Lena sat side by side near the quiet fire they had built earlier. Its light flickered across their faces, catching in their eyes like the faint glow of distant stars. Around them, the world seemed to hold its breath. No sounds but the sea, no lights but the moon. Lena spoke first, her voice barely louder than the waves. It feels like the ocean is keeping our secrets. Amira turned her head slightly, her smile soft. Maybe it already knows them. For a long while, they didn't speak again. The air smelled of salt and driftwood, and somewhere far away, music drifted from a boat that passed across the horizon, faint, dreamy, as if it belonged to another world. Amira traced slow circles in the sand with her fingertips. Do you think moments like this ever return? Lena shook her head. Not the same way, but maybe that's what makes them stay with us. The words lingered between them, carried by the hum of the tide. Amira reached for her cup of tea, still warm from the fire, and passed it to Lena. Their fingers brushed brief, but enough to send a spark of warmth through the space between them. Lena took a sip, then set the cup aside. I used to think peace meant silence, she said. But it is more like this, like hearing everything and realizing none of it is too loud. Amira leaned back on her hands, her gaze drifting toward the moon. The quiet between waves, she said softly. Lena smiled. Exactly. They both turned to look at the sea. The water shimmered, rippling in soft silver light. Each wave came and went, like the rise and fall of breath, alive, gentle, infinite. A breeze passed through, brushing against their hair. Amira's robe fluttered lightly, catching a trace of the fire's glow. She looked at Lena, who was staring at the horizon, her expression unreadable, something between wonder and peace. What are you thinking? Amira asked quietly. That I wish I could pause this, Lena said. Not forever, just long enough to remember every single detail, the air, the sound, the way the light moves across your face. Amira's laugh was a soft hum. You notice everything, only when it matters, Lena replied. They fell silent again. The quiet wasn't empty. It was full of closeness, of recognition, of something that felt like home. A sudden gust of wind sent a wave of fine mist across the sand, dampening their hair and eyelashes. They laughed, brushing it away, but didn't move. It felt too perfect, the way the sea surrounded them. The fire flickered low, and the stars seemed to lean closer to listen. Amira reached out and touched Lena's wrist light, almost hesitant. You're cold, she said. Lena shook her head. No, I'm just awake. Amira smiled faintly. That's rarer than warmth. Their eyes met, and in that look, a quiet understanding passed between them, wordless and deep. It was the kind of moment that asked for no explanation, that lived in the stillness between heartbeats. The waves rolled closer now, their rhythm slower, almost tender. Foam traced the line of the shore like lace. Lena stood, brushing the sand from her dress, and stepped closer to the water. The sea touched her feet, retreating, returning, as if greeting her. Amira followed, stopping beside her. The ocean reflected the moon so clearly that it seemed they were standing at the edge of another world, a mirror where sky and water met. Lena looked at Amira, her voice a whisper. Do you ever think the sea remembers love? Amira tilted her head. Maybe, but I think it only remembers the kind that's quiet. The quiet kind, Lena repeated. Like this? Amira nodded. Exactly like this. They stood together, the moon above, the ocean below, both infinite and shimmering. Around them, the world disappeared. No sound but water and breath. No time but now. Lena reached for Amira's hand. The contact was simple, but everything shifted. The air felt alive, charged, like something unseen had woken. The tide brushed against their feet, cool and soft, pulling and returning, as if the world itself was breathing with them. I don't know what happens after this, Lena murmured. Neither do I, Amira said. But that's the beauty of it. We don't need to. Their hands stayed intertwined as they watched the sea shimmer under the moonlight. The waves glowed faintly, the foam illuminated by a pale silver edge. Somewhere behind them, the fire faded completely, leaving only the scent of wood smoke and salt. The world had turned quiet, not empty, but whole. Amira leaned her head on Lena's shoulder. Do you hear that? She whispered. What? The sea, Amira said softly. It sounds like it's breathing with us. Lena smiled. Maybe it always was. And in that moment, it was impossible to tell where the ocean ended and the sky began, or where one heartbeat faded into another. The night wrapped around them like silk, gentle, endless, alive. The world slept, but the quiet between waves kept its rhythm soft, patient, eternal. For some, love was a spark. For them, it was a tide moving, returning, always the same, yet never still. As the horizon slowly began to glow with the first light of dawn, Amira whispered, Listen, it's still breathing. Lena turned her face toward her, eyes heavy with calm. Then let it breathe, she said, and let's just be part of it. The waves rolled in one last time, gentle and glowing, pulling their reflections across the sand. And in that quiet, before the morning rose, love became the sea, endless, soft, and alive between every wave. When morning found us, the first light came quietly, almost shy. It touched the horizon in soft gold, spreading through the fading mist like a secret whispered between the sea and the sky. The world had not yet fully woken. The waves were slow, the gulls still silent, and the air hung heavy with that sacred stillness that only dawn can bring. Amira stirred first. She blinked, realizing she had fallen asleep against Lena's shoulder. The sand beneath them had cooled, and the tide had crept closer, its edge now only inches from their feet. The fire was gone, reduced to soft ash and the faint scent of smoke drifting in the morning air. Lena was still asleep, her face turned toward the sea. Her hair was slightly damp from the mist, her lips parted as if she had been whispering to the waves in her dreams. The rising light caught on her eyelashes, tiny prisms reflecting gold. Amira didn't move at first. She only watched, feeling a slow, peaceful awe fill her chest. The kind of awe that has no name, something between gratitude and disbelief, as if she couldn't quite believe this moment was real. The sea was calm now, its surface smooth and pale like liquid glass. Each wave seemed to hesitate before breaking, as though the world itself didn't want to disturb the stillness. Amira reached for a shell near her hand, small, pink, perfectly shaped. She turned it over, brushing the sand away with her thumb. When she looked up again, Lena's eyes were open. Morning already? Lena's voice was soft, raspy from sleep. Amira smiled. The world didn't wait for us. Lena sat up slowly, pushing her hair back. Maybe it should have. They both laughed quietly, a sound that blended easily with the ocean. The sunlight deepened, brushing color into everything it touched. The sand turned amber. The waves gleamed silver blue, and their shadows stretched long across the shore. Lena stood, brushing the sand from her hands. She turned to face the sea, breathing deeply. It's strange, she said. I used to hate mornings. They felt like endings. Amira tilted her head. And now, Lena said, it feels like the world's just starting over. Every breath feels new. Amira walked closer, her robe trailing lightly behind her. Maybe that's what the night does, she said. It teaches us how to begin again. Lena smiled. Then I'm glad we stayed to learn. They walked toward the edge of the water together. The tide brushed their feet, cool and welcoming. A flock of seabirds took flight nearby, scattering across the golden horizon. The air was alive with the scent of salt and sunlight, clean, pure, endless. For a moment, they stood there without words. The sea was awake now, moving with gentle rhythm. Behind them, their footprints stretched along the sand, proof of where they'd been, soon to be erased by the tide. Lena turned to Amira. Do you ever wonder how many mornings like this the ocean has seen? Amira thought for a moment. Millions, she said, but maybe none quite like this. Why? Because we're in it. Lena laughed softly. That's a good answer. The light shifted, scattering through thin clouds like silk threads. Everything shimmered: the sand, the water, even their skin seemed to glow under the dawn. Amira bent down, scooping a handful of water. It ran through her fingers like glass. It's so clear, she said, like it's washing away everything. Lena joined her, kneeling beside her in the surf. Maybe it is. They let the water touch their hands, their wrists, their reflections blending with the sea. It was quiet, but not empty, the kind of silence that hums with life, that feels like the pause before a song begins. The wind shifted again, brushing against them. The smell of the morning deepened: salt, warmth, and something sweet carried from far inland. Maybe the faint scent of flowers waking with the light. Lena turned to Amira, her eyes soft, her expression peaceful. You know, she said, I think the sea really does remember love. Amira smiled. How do you know? Because it's still here, Lena said. Even after the night ends, they both looked out toward the horizon again. The line between water and sky was nearly gone now, both glowing with the same soft gold. A fishing boat moved in the distance, its slow silhouette cutting through the light. The hum of its motor carried faintly across the air, blending with the waves. Amira brushed a strand of hair from her face. It's funny, she said. We spend so much time chasing things, and then one morning, you realize peace was just waiting here all along. Lena's smile deepened. And it only needed two people to notice. They stood there until the sun broke fully over the water, warm and endless. The waves turned a brighter blue, the sand glowed white, and everything seemed to expand, the world unfolding, open, alive. Amira took a deep breath, closing her eyes. Listen, she whispered. The wind, the sea, the birds, it all merged into one rhythm, one heartbeat. Lena reached for her hand again. It's like the ocean singing, she said. Amira nodded. Maybe it's saying thank you. For what? For staying. Amira said softly. For listening. The morning light wrapped around them gold, calm, eternal. And in that gentle silence, they understood that love didn't need words or promises or even time. It only needed presence, a quiet morning, and the rhythm of two hearts breathing with the sea. When the morning found them, it found them exactly as they were, two souls standing still, where the world met the water, where night became day, and where love was simply enough. When morning, the sea was quieter. When morning found us, the night's rhythm had softened into a calm hum, and the horizon glowed faintly with the blush of new light. The waves touched the shore as if afraid to disturb the peace left behind by the stars. She stirred first, her hair tousled by the wind, her skin kissed by salt and warmth. I opened my eyes to find her watching the sky, eyes half closed, as if the dawn itself had stopped just to listen to her breathe. Between us, silence stretched, not empty, but full. The kind of quiet that speaks louder than words, carrying everything we hadn't said through the tide's soft retreat. Do you ever think, she whispered, how the world resets each morning, like it forgives us for everything? I smiled, tracing a slow circle on her hand with my thumb. Maybe that's why I love mornings. They don't ask questions. They just start again. A gull called above us, slicing the pale air with its cry. The sound echoed, distant and gentle, over the shimmering blue. The world was waking, but we weren't ready to move yet. We sat there, the two of us wrapped in one towel, sharing the quiet warmth that rose from the sand. Her laughter came suddenly, soft but bright, as she leaned closer. What? I asked. You, she said simply. You always look like you're still dreaming, even when you're awake. I looked at her, really looked. The morning light made her seem unreal. Golden strands caught the sun. Drops of seawater traced silver lines along her collarbone. Her lips parted just slightly, as if the sea itself had left its taste there. And yet, It wasn't fantasy. It was more real than anything. Behind us, the world began its noise footsteps of early walkers, faint music from a yacht anchored near the horizon, the soft chatter of distant lives beginning their day. But in our little circle of sand, time still felt slow, suspended. She reached for her phone, turned it toward me, and we both laughed at our reflection, wind-blown hair, sleepy smiles, salt still on our skin. It was imperfect, beautifully human. "Don't delete that," I said. "I won't," she whispered. "It's proof that we were real." The breeze carried her voice away, mixing it with the sigh of the tide. I closed my eyes for a second and let the sound sink into me. There was something sacred in it, like the sea was keeping our secret. We packed slowly, almost reluctantly, each motion deliberate. Her hand brushed mine when she folded the blanket. My breath caught. There was no rush, only the quiet rhythm of two hearts adjusting to the day. When we finally stood, the sun was higher, painting everything in warm gold. I watched her step toward the water, bare feet sinking into the wet sand. She turned back to me, smiling. "Come on," she called. "One last dive before breakfast." I laughed. "You'll freeze, then warm me after," she teased, voice carried by the wind. And just like that, she ran into the sea, into the light. Water splashed high around her, the sun scattering off every droplet like 1,000 sparks. I followed, of course. The cold was sharp, real, and yet the moment burned bright enough to erase it. We met in the shallows, waves wrapping around us, light rippling on our faces. The world outside disappeared. It was just us and the sound of the ocean breathing. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. Everything that mattered was already in the space between our eyes, in the rhythm of water and heartbeat. When she touched my cheek, it felt like the world had gone still again. I remember thinking, if time could freeze anywhere, let it be here. But morning has a way of reminding you that life moves on. The tide began to pull us gently back, and we followed. On the shore, our footprints waited side by side, washed soft but not gone. As we walked back, the sky bloomed into full color, pinks fading into gold, waves glittering like spilled glass. She squeezed my hand once, quiet and sure. No words, no promises, just that quiet between waves, now turned to light. And somewhere deep inside, I knew this was what love felt like, not the rush, not the noise, but the stillness that comes when morning finds you, and everything feels new again.